Hello everyone. The purpose of this video is to help you or give you some tips on Essay 0. Now remember why I call it Essay 0, because this is a co-rec class. It's kind of paired with your English composition course. If you'll notice, I haven't emphasized this before, if you'll notice your class is called INRW 0304. That's this class, V13, right? That's our section. But then it says integrated reading and writing. Yeah, that's what it is. Co-rec, Engel 1301. So that means that this class is co-rec with English 1301. Now, in that class, you are writing essays. And so I didn't want you to load you up with a bunch of essays in this class as well, but rather with some other concepts. A lot of them you get through Connect and elsewhere. And there is one essay assignment, and that's the only one, which is Essay 0. And Essay 0, so it doesn't get confused with Essay 1 or Essay 2, or the first essay or second essay or third essay or whatever in your other course where you principally will be doing your writing. In addition to Essay 0, later on, there will be 2 assignments which will be based on or kind of continuations of essays in your other class in English 1301. Okay, but now to this essay. A good place to start, other than here, the Welcome Start Here page, is to go to the course content right here, course content, all activities and assignments. And we're now going to be on week 3. Now, let me see something. Let me click on week 1 though. If I press that link, it takes us to the week 1 page, right? A folder that took us to that page. And if you'll notice, let me see if we can notice something here. If I can notice it. Right. Here it says, I mean, from the start, from the get-go, you get these kind of introductory things for the first week, but then you get on to this, let's see, chosen book assignment, a lot of other stuff, right? But here's an introduction to Essay 0, all right? It's basically a PowerPoint. And so this is kind of in video format, right? It advances, whereas this one is just the PowerPoint file. And then you get ongoing assignments due during a later week. And so Essay 0 was one of those assignments, right? Something that became available on the first week. 8/26 is the Wednesday of the first week, but it wasn't due that first week or the second week. All right. So there it is. Essay 0 available Wednesday the 26th, but the deadline wasn't or isn't till 9/9/2020. The late deadline, there's an additional week for those who need one more week without penalty till September 16th. Okay, so that's week 1. And then in week 2, I like using this one up here. I could use this one too, I guess. But week 2, there's the same deal here. You've got Essay 0 in the ongoing assignments that are not due this week, but rather the following week, right? Okay, and then there are other things going on that were going on week 2. So now let's click on the week. Let's go to that folder and that page. And this stuff is at the top of the week too. You know, among other things that are mentioned here, among other things, let me just for a moment check something. We're good. I was just checking that things were still there, right? Okay. So yeah, now it's an assignment due this week. Essay 0 is due this week on September 9th. There are other things due later, right? But Essay 0 is due this week. And the 9th, that is coming up on us. It's a Wednesday. So if you're going to have trouble submitting it by Wednesday, remember, you have till the following Wednesday after that. Try to get it done on Wednesday. If not Wednesday, then Thursday. If not by Thursday, then by Friday, and so on and so forth. The absolute deadline for Essay 0 is 11:59 p.m. Wednesday, September 16th. Okay. Now I'm going to click on this folder on that link, which is, notice they had a folder. So it takes us to this folder right here. I'm going to check one more time. I'm a bit uneasy that this is recording or not. Let me just check. Okay. Yes, it is recording. Okay. There's the introduction to SA0. You know what? Let me click on the one where it's kind of stays still. All right, I'm going to click on this one. It doesn't go anywhere. All right, what it is a download. Using Chrome, which I recommend, by the way. It shows the download there. Enable editing. It's not you're going to edit it, but it's easier to deal with it if that's enabled. So here it is. Slideshow. It's also F5, function key 5 on the keyboard. Introduction to SA0. It says friendly advice, see the syllabus or course schedule for the due dates. But you can see it's also on the, it was also written like below the link. Write an essay of one, this is key right here, one of your hobbies or pastimes. I'm actually doing this essay in another course, not in this INRW. I'm also doing it in my other course that I teach, which is English 100. And some students in that class have made the mistake of writing about 3 hobbies, okay? Or 3 pastimes. Like my first favorite hobby is this. My other favorite hobby is this. And finally, I have another thing I like to do. So it's kind of like a paragraph or hobby. No, that's not it, okay? And so I'll explain to them, no. Focus on one hobby, right? So as you can see in that song that I played on the ukulele, right? My essay or I have a lot of hobbies, but the one I'm focusing on is that one, right? Which is playing the ukulele. And now you have a demonstration of me not just talking about it, but actually doing it, okay? So it says here, write about your experience with the hobby. So I have a sample essay, right? That you have, that's available to you. And I'll go through a few things of it. I'll point out the highlights in it. And it's all about that one hobby. And it's not about kind of like, this is the size of a ukulele. And this is the history of the ukulele. All those things are interesting. But notice the instruction is write it from your experience, what you've experienced with it, okay? Perhaps the size of the ukulele and all that would be if my hobby were kind of building ukuleles, or maybe this kind of disassembling them and then putting them back together better. Maybe that's where size and all that of the instrument would matter, right? But I don't do that. I play it, okay? So you don't need any sources. Not only you don't need them, don't use them. You're not allowed to, okay? And that goes to the first thing I said, which is you will feel that you need sources if you're going to go in and look for the history of it, right? Even if I play the ukulele, I know a little bit about it, but how did I find out? By looking it up. Don't do that. This essay is not about that. It's about in my case, my experience with the ukulele. In your case, your experience with whatever it is that your chosen one hobby is that you're focusing on in the essay. 600 to 1,200 words long and 5 paragraphs with an introduction, 3 bodies, and a conclusion paragraph. 3 body paragraphs, I meant, okay? All right. So that's the PowerPoint. If you hadn't looked at that, now you did, right? If you're watching this video, and feel free to access it again. So here is the form, right? You're going to click on this link to submit it. But not only that, before actually submitting it, you've got to write it. And this tells you what to do, okay? This is the first little link has the instructions. The second link has my sample essay, all right? Let's go through this right here, through these. I'm actually going to resize this so I can see, right? So I guess I wasn't seeing this, like my recording area, and so I'm uneasy. I can also look at the time, how much time is elapsing. Okay, so pardon that interruption. Again, notice it was available the 3rd day of the semester. It's due Wednesday the 9th. And this doesn't say 11:59 p.m., but that's always the time, 11:59 p.m. And then the deadline, like the late deadline, is the 16th. Don't try to turn it in late, Please do not think this way. Oh, the real deadline is September 16th. I suppose that's true, but it's a deadline kind of like for accidents, right? And I hope they don't happen. You try to turn it in then, and then some terrible, maybe not terrible, many things are going on at that time. They could be good things, right? But they take up your time. And so you need a couple of extra days to get it done, or technical glitches, technical problems, right? Now make sure that I don't know how to make sure about this, right? But let's say that sometimes the student experiences technical problems on the 16th, right? Not necessarily the 16th, but whatever that late deadline is. I will not accept a late assignment for any reason beyond the late deadline. And that means 1 minute late. That means midnight of September 17th, it's too late. That's 1 minute after 11:59 p.m. Why? Because this is I'll give you my quick lecture here. You should have had this problem on the regular deadline night, right? In other words, take care of all, like you work really hard to get it done. Try to work really hard to get it done by the 9th, so that if something goes wrong, that's all right. You still have a week to get it done. And then get it done like the next day, the 10th, right? Fix the problem and say, oh, I'll fix the problem 7 days later. So do you see why it's okay? At least I feel it's okay for me to be very strict and not take any excuses at that point. Because the time for the excuses, and it's not that they're fake, they're real, right? The time for things to go wrong, let's hope they never go wrong, but if they do, is at the on-time deadline. And then you still have a full 7 days to resolve it, but resolve it as soon as possible, okay? All right, it tells you here to press the links, right? To read the instructions and read the sample. It tells you that this right here, these are little links, additional links of our attached files. This is the main link though. It says the main link is where you will begin to submit your document once you've typed it out on Word. You'll scroll to the attached files, etc., etc. So these are the instructions for how to submit it. And then here are some other things, right? And you know what? I think we need to go on to looking at the instructions and the sample. You can look at all of this, and you should, step by step, right? And you'll find out about how to turn it in, what if something goes wrong, etc. Okay? I'll leave that to you. You can always ask me questions later if there's something you don't understand, right? So I'm going to go to the instruction sheet. So this is what was on that PowerPoint. It was kind of a summary of what's on here, right? You can see that you're writing about one of your hobbies or pastimes, a specific thing you do for fun. Now, let me caution you, something that I'm thinking about, that I think it also happened in the other class. Somebody was going to write about one vacation, like a trip to California, Disney World, Disneyland. Forgive me if I get that one wrong, which one's in California, which one's in Florida, but something like that. The problem is that was a one-time thing. Travel can be a hobby or pastime. It can be if it's regular. The word is regular, recurrent, frequent. You don't have to do it every day, right? I don't play the ukulele every day. But if you do it every other day, once a week, even once a month, and I would say even once a year would still count as a hobby, right? When you get to be my age, you might have done things once a year about 25 times, right? We've done it for the past 25 years, right? So that's all right. What this student described was clearly a one-time thing, because in the material that the student wrote, the student said, I had never been there before. And then my family or whoever it was and I went there, right? So that was a one-time thing. So that doesn't count. Make sure that it's truly a hobby or pastime that you do frequently enough, not necessarily every day or every week, but on some kind of loose schedule, right? That you do it several times, have done it many times. And then, like I said, write about your experience, Your essay must be an essay, okay? I love other things like poems and things like that. Please don't do those, okay? A graphic novel with like little comic strip kind of thing, that's wonderful, but not here, right? You're trying to write an essay. And so you need to learn how to write that format. It is a useful format. Don't let people tell you, oh, essays are a thing of the past. No, they're not. People are still writing essays. Newspaper articles are kind of like short, quick essays. And sometimes they are more like essays, the ones that go more deep into a topic. But this shouldn't be a newspaper article, okay? To do that, to ensure that you do it right, follow this format right here, okay? Now, it must be at least 600 pages, not pages, please. And I'm even saying not pages. I don't want to read 600 pages, okay? So good as they might be, 600 words long or 1,200 words long maximum, okay? On Word, kind of, there's like a word count that comes out kind of toward the left corner. Or you can highlight it, and sometimes on other processors, you kind of look up in the menu, and there should be somewhere where it'll give you a word count on when you highlight it. So one way, and I don't recommend kind of going one by one and counting each word, right? Find some kind of tool that will give you a word count. Again, on Word, there is a word count, and it's usually toward the bottom left. Okay. Now, introduction paragraph, body paragraph A, body paragraph B, body paragraph C, and conclusion paragraph. So the way I wrote my essay, I introduced the fact that I kind of became acquainted with the ukulele at some point in my life, only a few years ago. And then I wrote a thesis statement about it, a main idea sentence. That was my introduction. I'll show it to you in just a moment. Then what did I do in the body paragraph? Well, my task was to write about 3 things about the ukulele. What I decided to do was this. This was my decision. It doesn't have to be yours. My decision was to write about 3 ways that the ukulele helps me in my life. 3 positive things, in 3 ways in which the ukulele is a good thing in my life. And so you'll see that in the sample. But I could have chosen a different 3 things. I could have said, I play the ukulele in 3 different kinds of settings. You know, I play it at home, I play it with and for my students, and then I play it professionally. I don't, okay? But let's say I did play it professionally, you know, in gigs or that kind of thing. Then that's kind of different, right? It's not 3 ways that the ukulele helps me, but rather 3 different places, 3 different types of places where I play the ukulele, right? And so I didn't do that. You'll see that I didn't write about that in my essay. So the question will be, what 3 things do I write about? How do I split it into 3 parts? Well, that's up to you, right? If you want suggestions, for example, go on the Pronto chat. That's a really good place. You know, go right here. Where's Pronto? Either you can do it on your phone too, right? If you have the Pronto app, which I recommend. And you know, go on here and into the chat and say, guys, what are the 3 things you wrote about for your hobby, right? Or say, you know, I want to write about 3 ways or about these 3 things about my hobby. You know, let's say tennis, right? Tennis is your hobby, right? And so then you say the 3 things. Do you all think that's good, right? And so someone will probably reply to you and say, yeah, oh yeah, that's good. I think those 3 things will make sense. Or you can write to me as well, right? But I start with that one, the group chat, right? So just point out that there are lots of people who can give you suggestions. People in your life at home can give you suggestions, friends, etc. as well. If they might be good at grammar too, but it doesn't have to be a grammar suggestion, right? Hold on, I'm gonna have to take a break, but I do not want to pause the video. All right, I didn't pause the video because I don't have time for that. Okay. All right, so I'm telling you, suggestions, you can get them, right, from various people, not just from me, right? But you need to find 3 things to write about. No internet or anything else, that's key. No sources, just don't do it. You're going to be tempted to do it. A lot of people think, I have an essay for class. Let me see what everyone else has written about it. I don't care. I don't care what anyone else has written about it, okay? really blunt. But that's a good thing, right? Because whom do I care about? You. I care what you have to say about tennis, about the guitar, about working out, about watching Netflix, particular types of shows you like to watch. I know several people in my life, in my family, like specific genres, right? Like certain some things that come to mind are anime and manga and that kind of thing. If I use the right terms, I'm not sure. But I'm interested in your experience, right? So why do you need to research that? You already know, okay? Right? Again, I'm not tired of saying this. Write about your experience. And if you do that, if you don't use the internet or anything else, and none of that stuff sneaks into your paragraphs, right? Then you won't plagiarize, right? Because you won't be using other people's words and information. So you will not get a 0 because that's what happens. I usually catch it and it's a 0. Okay? That's the minimum penalty for plagiarism. It could be worse. All right? Why? Because no one has any business stealing other people's ideas and words. Just because they're on the internet, that doesn't mean they're ours. But it's not a problem because you're not going to use any of that information. Don't use a second person point of view. Mostly you're going to use I. I like to do this, I like to do that. And third person point of view, a lot of it. Like, it is a very good instrument, right? Or tennis is a wonderful sport, right? That's third person, right? No obscene language unless it's absolutely necessary and there's no other way to write it, okay? If you're quoting someone, for example, my dad always used to say a certain thing when I beat him at tennis, right? If you feel that that's colorful and interesting, then go ahead. Otherwise, don't. There are other words you can use besides obscene words, all right? I'll leave it at that. No like big old passages of dialogue like this person said this and then that person said that. I don't think that's going to happen, but just in case, no big old dialogue. Now, these are the requirements format-wise on the essay, and you'll see those in my essay. You'll see that I double spaced it, etc. You must not include images, charts, graphs, so no decorations of any sort. Those things are good, but let's not do them in this essay. And you will submit it through the main link, right? Okay, now let's look at the sample. Let's come on over here. Okay, let me close that. That's the chat. And I think I can close that. So now let's click on the sample. And I'm happy to share my essay with you. Now notice I left this like this, first name, last name. Mr. Perez is the instructor, right? In this case, I wrote it, but I'm the instructor. So I'm pretending that I'm in that class. I left this open because you're gonna write your own first name, last name, your own section, which is V13, right? You would put a 13, 14, or 15. I always use V13 as the sample, but this applies to V14 and V15. Just put the month, for example, September 9, 2020. And then over here, you would create a little header, right? I'm not going to go into the tutorial how to create these things right now. But when you do create it, you will put your last name and then the page number, right? And then that would be, and then your last name and page 2. This, if you do it right, should be produced automatically. So this is my essay, all right? Playing the ukulele. Notice a real simple title centered right there. You'll notice also that I don't decorate anything. You shouldn't decorate, okay? The decoration is the beauty of your words, not like bolding it or highlighting it or huge fonts. I don't know. My opinion is that looks a little bit silly. All right, like it doesn't belong, because again, let the words speak for themselves. Okay, that's just my opinion. Maybe it looks fine to others, but the rules are keep it plain as far as the way it looks. Okay. All right. Here are the paragraphs. Introduction. Body paragraph 1. Right, and a little bit there. Body paragraph 2. Body paragraph 3. And then the conclusion. This is toward the 1200 upper limit, toward the maximum, okay? It's about 1100 and change, 1100 some words, okay? If I could point out a weakness in this essay, is that it probably should be a little shorter, right? But I'm within the requirements. I didn't go over, okay? So what happened here? This is my lead-in. Okay, remember that in the instructions it says you need to have a lead-in. So I really should not have closed the other page. So let me open it up again. Instructions. Here, that's my lead-in. 3 or more sentences. And then the thesis. So the thesis statement is the one that I didn't highlight. Right here, I basically gave you a little tiny history, but not someone else's history, my history. The way that I came to know the ukulele, right? To summarize, my next door neighbor in college, meaning not in college, here at STC, work-wise, right? His office next to mine. He was playing the ukulele. I asked him about it, and plus other experiences I had, and so I started thinking about playing that instrument, right? And then my wife gave me a ukulele, the one you saw in the video, as a birthday present. Now here is my thesis. My thesis is so easy. And all it says is I play the ukulele daily and it helps me in many ways. And I didn't put the 3 things that help. That sometimes in some essays you put the 3 things up front, like a little tiny list, and then you use those later on. I didn't make that a requirement. If you really want to do that, go ahead, but you don't have to. Many writers don't. Like many professional writers don't do that, right? And so I don't see it as necessary. But if you want to put your 3 things right up front there, go ahead. Now, where are the 3 things? They're going to be very obvious in the first sentence of each body paragraph. If you'll notice this structure right here, it says structure meaning the way it's built, put together. Topic sentence, which is 1 brief sentence, 6 sentences of details, and 1 or 2 sentences as the closer or closing remark sentence for each paragraph. Okay, that's different than the introduction, right? It didn't have that structure. So that's what I did. Let me show you the topic sentence of each body paragraph. Playing the ukulele provides a daily dose of relaxation. So this is my relaxation paragraph. All about how playing that instrument relaxes me, and it really does. Here's this one. Playing the ukulele also affords me a chance to study music theory and of course to put it into practice. So this is my paragraph about how I've learned or relearned music. And I'm, because music is a science, it's an art, but it's also a science. There's a lot to learn. There's a reason why it sounds good or it sounds bad and in between. So this is my music theory. Everything I say here is about that. Just like in the other one, everything I say in the previous one is about relaxation. And notice that head sentence, short sentence there, a little bit longer sentence, but it's still pretty short, is in charge of this, of setting it up for the rest of the paragraph. Then there's this one, no medicine can cure my shyness, but playing the ukulele can ease its symptoms. So this is about how it helps me in the sense of kind of social situations, that kind of thing. All the details relate to that. And then comes the conclusion. So let's look at one sample. I don't want to, you can read this yourself, right? So let's look at one sample. The first one. This is the relaxation paragraph. And notice, make sure you put a period on a sentence. Sometimes students will put a comma and then just kind of, mesh or flow right into their details. Flow is good, meaning that it kind of moves nicely like a river. That's good. But you do need to put a period there, right? To show that this is your topic sentence. Okay? This is a sentence that's in charge. You put a comma, it's almost like, well, no, it's part of a bigger sentence. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to put it. Make it clear that that sentence is in charge. And notice it's also first at the beginning of the paragraph for that topic. So these are the details for that. I'm saying that some people find this thing, smoking, relaxing, right? And that I don't need to do something like that because I find playing the ukulele relaxing. Okay. And then I said, I've tried other stuff, other things to relax, but it didn't work for me, right? I also put sometimes I'm coming home and I'm trying to learn chords and all that stuff, but it's relaxing. It's no big deal. I like doing that, right? It's a different kind of learning than the teaching that I do. And then that's it. Those are the details. Now, one thing, if we go back to the instructions, there are some guidelines, right? There should be at least 6 sentences, 6 or more detailed sentences. That we don't count the first sentence. That's one sentence, the one that I showed you, that head or sentence that's in charge, right? But then there should be 6 or more sentences, and it doesn't count the closing sentence, which is 1 or 2. So if we look here, I'm gonna put Control F on my keyboard. You can't see that, but I did that, and that brought up that search box, and I'll put a period right there. Let's see if it does it. It did it, but it didn't actually highlight them. It works really well on a Word document, but I don't know if you can see them, but I can't see the highlights on the period. So, oh, okay, it didn't work. But you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's it. There were 8 sentences. That's fine, right? Because it could be 6 or more sentences in the detail section. I didn't count this one. And I didn't count this other one. Therefore, playing the ukulele is truly relaxing activity for me, right? So you could say it's a sandwich. Here's the top bread. Here's all the good stuff in between, right? And here is that other bottom bread, right? Or hamburger buns, or whatever you want to call it. So there's more of the good stuff, more of the stuff in between than just the bread, right? Oh, that could be good too, I guess. So notice that structure. That needs to happen in each of your paragraphs, okay? So that's what happened in this paragraph with the topic of music theory and learning music. And that's what happened in this paragraph with, that I'm kind of shy, and sometimes at other social settings that I like to, take my ukulele, and I've been learning guitar also, so also my guitar after that. It helps. Not everywhere, but it helps in some things. Okay. So study the structure carefully, right? Remember, opening sentence, closing sentence, right? And then the stuff in between are the details, and there are 6 or more. So what about the conclusion? The conclusion, you can put basically whatever you want. Conclusion, final thoughts or concluding remarks, put them in whatever order you want, just 3 or more sentences where it clearly shows that this is over. There may be some new thoughts. Notice what I put. I love playing it because it enriches my life. That's another way of saying it helps me. Or what I said at the beginning. I said, what were my words? What are my words? It helps me. Simply stated, it helps me. Over here, I said it enriches my life. I've never made money off of it. That's not what I mean, but it makes my life richer, better, right? And then I mentioned some things. My daughters also play the ukulele. I think I had mentioned her before. I mentioned that, that she kind of took it away from me, and then she learned it. Kind of a little bit about music, how it's important in my life and in my family, right? But that's still on the topic, right? And the fact that, and I've done some community service kind of things with it, right? And who knew, and look at this last sentence. Who knew so much good could come from such a small instrument, right? So that's definitely 3 or more. It's more than 3 sentences, right? I met the minimum a long time ago, right? And that's why I say this essay could be shorter, because I could just meet the minimum and move on. And you can write a very good essay in 600 words. Don't get me wrong. This isn't necessarily an A because it's long, okay? I'm not even sure that it's an A. You can write a good A paper in 600 words. So don't assume more is better, okay? Also, don't assume that don't assume anything, right? The grade will be based on what? I guess that's a good question, right? Now that I brought it up. Did you do this? Did you follow this pattern? This isn't the only way to write an essay, but it's the one that I'm asking you to use. And heads up, in your other course, this might not be what is required or wanted in the essays for English 1301. So make sure you read those instruction sheets. And actually, I'm going to be part of that. I'm going to be reviewing things with you as your essays come, and kind of about that class, about the essays in 1301, because I want you to succeed in that class. That's part of the whole co-rec. I will be a support for you, but I won't be saying, did you write their essays like this? No, I'll be looking at the instructions and talking to your other instructor and making sure that we do it that way, right? Okay. So that's an important point. Now about grading, here's another thing about grading. Let me see right here. Okay, when you click it, well, first of all, how to turn it in. When you click the link, right, you've typed this essay on Word, you've saved it, right, on your computer or on a USB or something like that, or in the cloud, Now watch, when I click the link, one thing that it showed me was the rubric. I would say, well, first of all, a warning, don't hit submit before you've attached your essay. Please don't do that, because then it'll go through as a blank and it won't let you attach the essay unless you contact me so I can clear the assignment so that you can then attach it with a document. In the, let's see, in the instructions, somehow, let me see, so what happened here? Well, here, well, I'll have to go back. No, actually, everything in the instructions is also here, right? So toward the bottom, it says, what do I do if I realize I submitted the wrong document file, or in this case, no document file? Send me a message through Pronto, preferred method, or text me at this number. Tell me the problem and tell me this. All you have to say is I am so-and-so from B13 or B14, B15, for those of you in those sections. Please delete my essay 0. Even if it's a blank, I'm basically deleting your submission so that, and I'll text you back when I've done it, and then you can submit it right. So that was the warning. Don't submit a blank. But you really should click on that link even before you're ready to submit. Why? Because when you click on it, you get access to the rubric. That's how I'm grading it. Notice these grades from A+ all the way down to 0. These, be patient and read them. These items are copied and pasted from the instruction sheet. Basically, I'm saying, if you do this right, I'm going to give you the A+. If you don't do it at all, I'm going to give you 0, okay? The other extreme. And then there's all the levels in between. So make sure you read this, because this is how your essay will be graded. It'll be hopefully the sum of nothing but 25s and 20s and 10s, right? Until it becomes a 100. Or it'll be a combination of whatever scores you get. There'll be a second draft also. For the second draft, which will come later on after I grade it, you'll get some peer review, and you'll make some improvements based on your peer review and on the grade and feedback that I gave you. But for now, there will be no peer review. For now, we're just going to write it, and we'll do that later on when it's time to do the final draft. And at that point, it'll be a time to improve your score, especially if you got a low score. So that's the rubric. But let's say you're ready to submit it, right? That's fine. You go to Browse My Computer. I won't click on it, but Browse My Computer, that takes you to a place where it finds your files. You go to the place, desktop, My Documents, wherever you save it, or your USB, and then you attach it, right? You click on it, double click on it, and hit attach or submit or whatever the word is, the little button that comes up similar to this one. And that will attach it. You'll notice that it'll come out around here. It'll show that it was attached. And then click on this link right here, please, and then hit submit. If you didn't save your computer, like physically on the computer, use this Browse Course. No, not that one. Browse Cloud Storage, this one. Like something like Google Drive, something like OneDrive, places like that. Basically, it's in the cloud. It'll be the same thing. You'll look for it, and you'll attach it, and then hit submit. Now, what could happen is that you haven't done that before. If you've done that kind of attaching before, it'll recognize you through Blackboard. If not, then it'll ask you, well, what's your account, right? Your OneDrive account, your Google account. You'll enter your username and password for those accounts, and then you'll be able to access those. If you need help with that, let me know. Let classmates know, like I said before. And there may be even some tutorials through the SCC website or even through the Blackboard website, okay, where it shows you how to do that. And also, there are always random tutorials. Google it, right? Google, how do I set up my OneDrive? How do I find my files on OneDrive, right? Or on Google or on something else, Box or whatever it is that you use. Click on that and you submit. Before you submit, make sure that the hit submit, make sure that you've attached the right thing. And sometimes it'll be obvious it's the wrong thing. It'll say something like math test or math notes, and that's the wrong one. If that's the wrong one, then you kind of exit. I think you could, maybe the easiest thing is to cancel, right? Start over and attach the correct thing, right? And then hit submit. And that's it. That's how it's done. That's how you'll submit your wonderful essay. That will probably become better because there'll be a final draft as well, right? Like I mentioned, to improve your score. Some students get a very good score on the first draft. And let's say it's 100 or a 98. There's no need to do a final draft in those cases. So they kind of save time on doing a good job on the first one. Do the best you can, right? That could be your really good situation. If not, though, If you do the best you can, but you still need to improve things, that's fine too, right? And you'll have time for to do a second draft. That's it. That's it for how to submit this essay, and I hope this was useful, and hope to read them soon. Bye.